Clarity on Fire, a podcast for people who know what they don't want out of their life and career, but aren't sure what they'd rather be doing.
In a world where it's easy to exist, but hard to feel alive, we, Kristen
and Rachel,
two certified life and career coaches, are here to help you cut through the information overload, get unstuck, and focus not just on how you can have a career you're passionate about, but how to create a whole life that feels fulfilling.
So join us here, where we serve up inspiration and down-to-earth wisdom in a way that only two best friends can.
We want you to experience the relief of knowing that, yes, you're allowed to want more out of your life and career.
And no, you don't have to wander through the dark anymore. Our job is to light the fire that shows you the way. Let's go.
Happy 2022.
Happy New Year. I mean, I know we're a little late.
No, we're not. We're right on time. This is the first episode of 2022.
Well, that's true, but
it's appropriate.
Everybody celebrated a week ago, but they haven't heard from us since
celebrated. What do you think I did? What do you think I did?
Everyone knows how you feel about most holidays. I think we decided Halloween was safe.
Yeah, it's the best holiday.
Maybe Earth Day.
Don't even know what day Earth Day is. Couldn't tell you. Could probably pick it on like a multiple choice test, but not.
But yeah, New Year's is not in there. But
is it in April?
I was gonna say March, but it could be April. That makes probably more sense.
No, it doesn't. Well, Earth every month. You know, Earth experiences every month, so that doesn't actually make any sense.
I just feel like in my head it's spring when you would want to go outside more. Oh, now we're gonna look it up in real time. Somebody is rolling their eyes right now, being like, "You don't know when Earth Day is?"
Does it change?
It's Rachel's second favorite holiday. And
bitch, it's in April.
What day?
Well, it says it's Friday, April 22nd, but is it the same day every year? Yeah, I think it's April 22nd. Look, I knew it was in April.
Okay, well there you go. She knew the month.
Small victories.
Second favorite holiday.
Anyway.
Most people celebrated a week ago, but we can celebrate with
not Earth Day, New Year's. New Year's. I didn't. I just went to bed. I can promise you that. It hasn't happened yet as the time we're recording this, but I can promise you I treated it like any other day. I went to bed.
Did you all miss us?
No, probably not. Okay, not to like do a hard left turn, but I did want to do a shout out.
We have a couple of updates.
Well, we do, but I wanted to do a shout out to one of our listeners real quick who sent us an email. And I want to say to Mary that I'm so sorry for your loss. She wrote us that her oldest brother passed away recently due to unknown health problems, and it was unexpected, which is the absolute worst type of losing somebody, is not knowing that it's about to happen. I mean, I don't know that it's, you know, it's always awful
loss
to lose someone.
Hard. But loss is loss. Shock plus loss just feels like it can amplify all of it.
And she wanted to just share. And she said, you don't have to read this, but I'm like, no, we'll share this. I'm happy to share this. She goes, in the spirit of holidays and New Year's, I just want to share a reminder of appreciating what we have and slowing down. Sometimes I get so hung up on the daily grind or what I haven't achieved that I forget to really reflect on the most important people in my life. With my brother now gone, I'm forced to put things in perspective and get my priorities straight. I feel guilty that I felt too busy at times to reach out to him, and now I can't at all. I'm now going to call my remaining brother, parents, and close friends all the time now, or at least more frequently, since you never know what can happen in life.
Well, first of all, Mary, I'm so sorry.
That's really,
I mean, there's nothing harder than losing someone close to you. I don't know. I just don't know.
I don't think so.
And what occurred to me when I heard that is this time of year, the beginning of a new year, I feel like there's a lot of focus on what do I want to change? What do I not have? I mean, what are New Year's resolutions and intentions and everything about, except I want something different or better. And I'm actually really glad that she wrote that and wanted to share that message with everyone, because this time of year doesn't have to just be about what do I want to be different. It can be who are the people and what are the things that I'm so grateful for and appreciative of, and take a moment before we move on to what's next in 2022 to say, you know what, even if there's a lot of hard stuff in my life. There's some people and experiences that I want to appreciate.
Mm-hmm. So I don't know, a little perspective for all of us that it can get worse. And that's not me being depressing. That's just me being truthful. And it can get better.
Mm-hmm.
Two things can be true at the same time. And so just,
and if you keep putting off doing something or reaching out to someone, this could be a reminder today of maybe let's make time for that now. If it's really that important.
I mean, I was
thinking about that too. I'm like, I don't call my brother enough. I'd like to talk to my brother more. It made me think about that.
For sure.
He's caught up in his world and I'm in mine. And
I know. Sometimes, because I'm really good at this being a type 4, I do more often than most people think about it. Like, think about, no one's getting out of here alive.
Mm-hmm.
Why are we worried about so much of the shit that we're worried about? And why aren't we more focused on some of the stuff we should be focused on? Like, the issues that you're having with your coworker, do they really matter when neither of you are getting out of here alive?
Mm-hmm.
Probably not. So like, can we just focus on what actually matters? And by that, I don't just mean the people in your life, though I do mean that, but I mean like, what do you want? How are you going to spend your time? Your time is a precious ass commodity.
Mm-hmm.
You shouldn't be wasting it doing anything you hate or something you don't want to do. You should be figuring that out earnestly. Like,
there's something, it's kind of interesting to think about the fact that every single day we're humans, like we are facing our mortality all the time, but we really like to not think about it. And I think sometimes there's value in reminding.
Good at denial because we have to be in order to survive.
But I think there's value in just remembering our mortality. What a way to start the year. But I think it's
Happy New Year. You're all gonna die.
But you know what? You're not now. So let's live.
Not now. Yeah, exactly. Sorry. I mean, I'm not sorry though, because why should I apologize for reminding you of something you already know?
Right.
You just might not be acting on because it's easy to be in denial. And like, thanks, Mary, for reminding us, get your head out of the sand and like appreciate the shit that you have and do something about the shit you want to change while you can. Thank you, Mary.
Yeah. And appreciate your people.
And we're sending you a hug, Mary.
Yes.
We're so sorry.
Yeah, we're so sorry. That's just heartbreaking.
All right. Well, and life goes on. So here we go. We're going to do some Dear Kracheling because, hey, I don't know about you, but Kristen and I are going to continue to help you try to get the life that you should have.
That's what we're all about.
I mean, I'm trying to have the life I should have. I'm not sure how well it's working, but I'm going to keep trying.
That's all we can do.
That's all I can do.
That's all we can do.
Okay.
Oh, but we have one more update. But I also just want to say,
yes,
we had a lot of questions come in this time.
Yeah.
So we may not be able to get to everybody's updates and questions today.
No, we did not. Not may not. She's like being optimistic. True. No. We chose not to. And if you don't hear your question answered,
this episode would have been 2 hours long, and that's not going to happen. We're not going to do that to you.
So come back in February if we didn't get to your question, and maybe we will next month.
Yeah. So just heads up about that.
Okay. So we have an update from someone who wrote in back in April, Earth Day of 2021. This was from Murphy's Law, who was having a time where everything was just going wrong. And she was just annoyed and frustrated. And things just kept getting more and more annoying. And she was like, how do you get yourself out of this? So if you want to hear what we said to her, go back to the Dear Krachel from April of 2021. But here's an update from her.
Hi, Krachel. At first, I didn't think it was worth telling you about, but all the discussion you've recently had around ease and feminine energy made me want to write in. A number of months ago, lots of little things seemed to be going wrong, and I was particularly frustrated by not being able to find an accountant. It's not like there's a shortage of accountants in the world. I had this idea that I needed a good accountant, and I was asking around for recommendations, but I kept getting roadblocks everywhere, or every accountant I met, my intuition was telling me not to work with them. Eventually, with the end of the financial year coming up, I just thought, stuff it, and Googled accountant in my suburb and got quotes from the top 3 results. I chose the one I liked best, explained what I needed, and it was all so easy and effortless. He did everything for me, and I got a $2,500 tax refund. sometimes we try to make things more complicated than they need to be, eh?
This is
I
funny.
love that update.
That's so funny.
I love it because it's one of those things where you're like, oh, did I need to write in about this? It's just an accountant. But it's symbolic of how we do everything. We overcomplicate
We make
things
harder than they need to
we
be.
think they have to be perfect. And we make ourselves crazy.
Why was she so dead set on having a good accountant? Like, are most of them bad? Like, is her complicated? I don't think her situation couldn't have been so complicated that she needed like a special accountant, right?
Probably not.
not if your max tax refund is $2,500, right? It's not like Elon Musk is asking for an accountant, right?
He might
needs a special accountant. Need like, Jeanette down the street or whatever.
A team of accountants.
Right. Exactly. Sorry, Jeanette down the street. I'm sure you're a great accountant, but but again, it's so funny that when you have these preconceived notions about what something should be or what something should look like, then you kind of block the easy answer from coming.
This made me think when I read this update, it made me think about that concept of being a maximizer versus being a satisficer, which I hate that word.
It's a word Adam Grant made up, right? Or did he just talk about it?
I don't know if he's the creator of it or not, but I heard it from him.
Okay, so it's not a word we're just mispronouncing. It's a made up term. So a maximizer, from what I understand,
it's someone who needs the best of everything. You have to. That makes it sound like.
No, that makes it sound like you have champagne dreams.
It's not really about that. It's like if I'm looking for an accountant, I want to maximize my result. I want to get the best accountant to get the best result for myself.
Maximizers are hard to satisfy
versus a satisficer.
It's easy to satisfy. So a
satisficer would say, oh, go ahead.
Can I use a better analogy than what you're using? Because you're not really using an analogy. Actually.
I'm not using an analogy. If you want to use one,
so the one that I heard is like, maximizers are people who hear a song they kind of like on the radio and they're like, but there might be a better one playing. And so they'll willingly miss out on part of that song to see if they can find something better. Whereas a satisficer will be like, oh, I like this song. And we'll just keep listening to it. Mm-hmm. Maximizers have a harder time being happy because obviously their bar is higher. And so they kind of, they're not as easy to like make happy and find something that works for them.
Yeah. Yeah. The analogy that I heard for this was if a maximizer and a satisficer both go shopping and they both want a red sweater or they both want a particular pair of jeans, the maximizer will go to every single store and then they'll be the one who tries on a pair of jeans and it's a really good pair and then they'll put it in the back of the rack and then come back later for it in case that's the one they want and go to 6 or 7 different stores to see what's the best pair of jeans. The satisficer will walk in, they'll try on one pair, they don't like it. They try on another pair, they like it. It fits what they needed. They buy it, they
Close
leave.
enough, whatever.
Or this is what I wanted. And I don't care if there's a quote unquote better pair because I got what I wanted. Yeah. And so I leave the store in 20 minutes, whereas the maximizer will be there for 2 hours, whatever, going to every store. And essentially she started out being a maximizer for this accountant. I have to get the best accountant. I have to get the perfect one for me. Yeah. And then by the end, I just need a freaking accountant and got an accountant and it all worked out fine. Yeah. And being a satisficer was better in that scenario for her.
In that scenario.
Yeah. There's not better or worse.
No. And I think you can be.
There's pros and cons to both.
I'm a satisficer when it comes to cleanliness. I'm like, this is good enough. Mm-hmm. Who gives a shit? When it comes to men, I'm a maximizer to the detriment of my single status, probably, but I can't change it.
This reminds me of the scale of ambition conversation that we had.
Skyscraper ambitions. Yes.
I do think it's interesting to recognize which tendency do you have and does everything need to be maximized? Can we sometimes just
maybe
pick something that works and move on? But
okay. Thanks for the update, Murphy's Law.
I like that. Good lesson.
Yes. Okay. Now we're moving on to our actual questions. Number 1, Dear Krachel, do you ever have these moments of mental breakdowns and rock bottoms and everything begins to keep spiraling down and there seems to not be any control anymore? How do we regain focus and positivity in a moment where it feels as if I'm falling apart? That's from Higher Thoughts.
Higher Thoughts. First of all,
yes.
the answer is yes.
The answer is currently.
Everyone listening can, maybe not at this moment, but they know that feeling. Everyone knows this feeling of spiraling, feeling out of control, feeling kind of hopeless.
Everything's falling apart.
Mm-hmm. You've missed out on that experience. How are you a human? Anyway, so yeah, I think we all know what that's like.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's interesting how the question is, how do I regain focus and positivity in a moment when I feel like it's all falling apart? The answer, you're not going to probably like, I don't know that you can do it in that moment.
You can if you're practiced, but most people probably not.
It's like having a freight train going in one direction and you're asking it to turn on a dime and start going the other direction.
I don't know much about physics, but I know that's not possible.
That thing's going to go off the rails if you try to do that. It's going to spin out and go sideways.
Yeah.
And you're going to crash. Yes, it's possible to turn in the other direction, but you're not going to be able to do it in that moment. You're going to have to slow down the momentum.
And get it going in the other direction.
Get it going in the other direction. Build up momentum in that direction. It's
true.
It's not an instantaneous, I have an affirmation that I repeat a few times and now I'm focused and positive again. So first of all, the way you're feeling is okay to feel. If you feel like everything's falling down around you and you feel chaotic and you feel out of control, positivity doesn't have to be your normal healthy response to that. No. You're allowed to be upset and frustrated and annoyed. And
in fact, sometimes that's
sad.
Not an appropriate reaction to things falling apart, right?
So feeling how you need to feel might be part of this, and you don't have to change into a positive mindset right off the bat.
Can I tell them about why I relate to this one?
Sure.
Can we give an update?
Sure. Oh, yeah.
I've had a hard time the last 6 months. Now, listen, I'm a type 4. I could tell you I had a hard 2021. I could say, well, actually, I had a hard 2020, 2018, 2019. I've had a hard life. Like, I could very easily just find a lot of evidence that my whole life is difficult.
But in terms of things falling apart and chaos, I think that's something, particularly the last few months, you can...
Last 5 or 6 months, absolutely. So in the last, let me give you just a little taste, just so that you know I'm not bullshitting you here. I get it. When do I start? I'm just going to start in July. Okay.
Okay.
That was when I met a dude and dated a dude for a whirlwind period of time. And that ended. And it didn't just end, did it? Mm-hmm. No, it kept being resurrected like a zombie until I finally was like, no, I don't want this. 5 months later, more to come on that in season 2 of Forever Alone. Hopefully one day, maybe we'll see. My grandma died while that was happening. You got engaged and married during that time. Mm-hmm. Emotionally weird for me, to be honest.
Sure.
We don't have to get into that right now, but like that did happen. My condo flooded.
When did you quit?
That was in May. That's even before this.
Okay.
Yeah, like
that
not
was
even
another
including that
chaotic.
Not including that
change.
Mm-hmm. I did go to the UK for 2 weeks. That was fun, but it was like, chaotic thing. And like the flooding situation wasn't just like, oh, it flooded and now it's fixed. No. It's 4 or 5 months later and nothing has been fixed. And I'm staring down the barrel of like, basically, without getting into too much detail, a lawsuit and having to be forced out of my place and living with my parents indefinitely. Like, that's all you need to know.
Having to move temporarily and not knowing if you have to move permanently.
I definitely am going to have to move permanently. Like, I mean, the advice is no, just cut your losses and go. I moved here for a reason. I don't want to leave, but I'm being forced out basically by the circumstance. So like everything is falling apart. Let me just tell you, everything that could probably fall apart this year, including my goddamn hair, which I'm convinced is falling out of stress. Kristen is not sure, but I am. She's like, you don't look any different.
It's not visibly falling
but
out.
It feels different. Like everything that's falling apart feels like it's just falling apart. Emotionally, spiritually, physically, mentally, romantically, everything.
And if your reaction to that was focus and positivity,
I'd be like, fuck you.
Well, I'd also be like, are you bypassing a lot of stuff?
Yeah. Are you well?
Are you in a lot of denial? Like, yeah. It's appropriate to feel stressed and sad and angry by all of that happening simultaneously and grieved.
Yeah.
Yes.
all
So
of
first
that.
of all, I don't want this person to feel like if it's really, really hard and they're feeling down a lot or grief or anger or any of that, that they need to fix that emotion. I know it's
No.
not a fun place to be. I know you don't want to feel that way. Of
Sure.
course you don't.
Neither do I.
But it's okay to be there for a little while. You don't have to instantaneously shift back into positive mode.
So
in the wake of all of that.
no.
You might need to give yourself a little time to just feel how you feel, process it all, and recognize you're not going to be in this situation indefinitely. So you don't have to worry about feeling all these feelings indefinitely.
And let me talk to you about how I'm processing my life falling apart without my consent, which has happened more than once. This is not my first rodeo.
Usually life doesn't fall apart with your consent, but I guess
sometimes you instigate
can
something that's really big.
it.
Yes. Yeah. Sometimes you make a choice, right? Like you can choose to like break up with someone and know your life's going to fall apart, but you made that
You can
decision.
throw the bomb into the and like watch it explode and then deal with the pieces. But sometimes
a bomb
you didn't
get thrown on you.
You didn't throw the bomb. Yeah.
No. And lately, most of the things that have happened have been bombs that other people done detonated, not me. And that's its own kind of frustration.
Sure.
Anyway, okay, here's how I'm trying to process things falling apart. Yeah, I'm not being overly positive. I feel how I feel and it's appropriate. It's the appropriate reaction to be having given everything that's going on. It's fine. Like that has to be okay. I'm not going to try to like spiritually bypass it. Okay. And I don't know if you're into the tarot, whoever's question this is, I don't know if you're into tarot, but if you are, there's a card called the Tower that shows up in tarot readings. And it's a lightning struck kind of tower situation.
It's like a visual representation of
and the top of the tower is literally like crumbling. And what I've heard Madeline, our tarot reader, intuitive friend, say is unless that tower, like if that tower hadn't gotten struck and hadn't like been shaken and its foundations hadn't crumbled and like it hadn't started to fall apart, you wouldn't have been set free. Like you were trapped in that tower until it fell apart. And I think that the way I am processing this is like, okay, in some way, this is setting me free. And I don't have to understand right now why or how. Or like it. Two things can be true at once. I can be having a very human, this fucking sucks, I hate it, why is this happening to me reaction. And I can simultaneously, because I can hold two opposing things in my mind at once. That's what humans are good at. I can go, and this might be setting me free in some way that I am not currently yet able to understand and might be setting me on a path that I need to be on that I might not have gone on any other way.
This might be a catalyst into something I ultimately find myself appreciative of.
This might be what I asked for, which is stupid. I understand. Stupid. I didn't ask for this, but you might have asked for something. You might have asked for a new direction. You might have asked for a new career. You might have asked for a relationship. You might have, and like sometimes in order for you to get that thing, something else has got to blow up.
You probably asked for what the result of this will be. And you don't necessarily get to pick how you get there.
But I didn't want to go on the journey. No, neither did I. But here we are, right?
And that can itself give a little spark of focus and positivity, which is what this person is asking for. Yeah. Doesn't mean that you are only positive about this. It just means, how do I view this in a way that makes me feel a little bit less like I'm just a victim of awful, annoying things happening to me for no good reason? Is you recognize oftentimes there is a good reason that you can't see in the moment. And most people can look back on their lives or the lives of people that they know and see the other side of some of those past experiences. Yeah. I mean, a lot of people on the podcast know the story of, maybe they don't, but I know I've mentioned it before at some point, of the story of my mom getting breast cancer at age 40, which is really young, and seemed just like a victim thing. I mean, and who wouldn't actually let you just, you're allowed to feel like a victim when you have cancer.
Yeah, that's fine.
That's
You're allowed.
fine. You're allowed. That's like not a bad reaction. And yet on the other side of that, she was finally able to have another kid, which she had wanted for her whole life. She wanted more than one kid. And that was the way that her body needed to get there. I don't understand it. Nobody understands it really, but that was the path. And if you had told her in the middle of the year of cancer, it's okay, this is getting you what you want, ultimately, she would have been like, screw you.
She wouldn't have said F you, but
no, she wouldn't have. She would have probably just cried. And that's fine. And not believed you. But then you can look back later and usually you can see why.
Yeah.
And you don't have to know now. You can just believe a future you might understand the why of this.
Mm-hmm.
And that alone can be a little bit hopeful.
Mm-hmm.
I
Also,
hope that helps.
one more thought I want to share is that it's careful not to decide too quickly what's real and what isn't and what's true and what isn't. Like right now, you're like, everything is falling apart. And that's what's true for you. I'm not denying that's how you feel. But is that the truth? There's a difference between what's true for you and the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And the truth might be that this is happening for you, not to you. And you just might not have enough perspective yet to understand why. And that's okay. So, like, careful what we label too.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I don't want you to feel like that's a dismissal of how you feel, because you're allowed to feel like this sucks. And you also can go, and the truth is, I don't actually know how this might go and how this might be serving me and how this might actually end up working out for me in some weird way. If you have a hard time buying into that, it might be time for you to go. You have to scroll back really far now at this point. But one of our classic episodes, our book club about outrageous openness from November of 2018. I will remind you about it in the show notes, but what a great place to start if you want to be someone who has more faith that like things are working out for me and I'm not, and like things aren't happening to me. Go back and listen to that and just begin a journey of I don't know, having a different relationship with the universe than you might have right now.
Mm-hmm. And developing a level of trust and faith and hope when it's feeling really hard. Another thing I'm going to send this person to is way back years ago, we did a series of ebooks, which was essentially a collection of blogs that were on a topic. And we did an ebook called Am I Doing Life Right? Wisdom, Relief, and Tough Love for Getting Through Difficult Times.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're going to link to that too.
We'll link to all of the
We will link to all the ebooks. There was 4 of them in total. But this one might be a little bit of a perspective shift for this person in particular right now.
Okay. You ready for number 2?
Ready.
Okay.
Hey, Krachel. I love cooking so much, and it's one thing I know I will never get tired of. I love being creative and inventing my own recipes. My dream is to have a restaurant of my own and feed all kinds of people to make them feel happy. But I did research on being a chef, and I'm starting to have second thoughts because of things like low pay, long working hours, and even work on weekends, which means missing out on some family occasions. This really was my dream. So should I go ahead with my dream and ignore all the disadvantages? And that is from Tasha.
Tasha, we have multi-layered feedback for you.
When do we not have
Yeah, that's true.
feedback?
I only have one thought. That's it. Literally never said it in
Never
my whole life. Okay. I'm going to need to know, and I don't. But in order to answer this question properly, we need to know your passion profile. Because if you're a thriver, we're going to give you a very different answer than if you're a fire starter. Okay. Because if your passion is cooking and you're a thriver, what that probably means is that trying to make it your job will rob it of its intrinsic value and make you very quickly hate it. Like the pressure on it to perform and to make money and to make it fit into the confines of a job might just be too much of a shit sandwich for you to have to deal with, and you don't want to do it. However, if you're something else, like maybe you're a fire starter, this is a different different answer I have for you. You might be more willing to eat the shit sandwiches because you have such an ambition around this. So like how you want to do something matters. That's what the whole idea of passion profiles is about. Like, it's not about what you want to do. It's about what you want to do and how you want to do it.
And at least one big thing you want to do with your time here on this earth. You want to cook.
You want to cook.
You want to
food.
develop recipes. You want to feed people and make people happy with food. That is fantastic. You know the what. The question you're now asking is, how do I want to do that?
Is there a way for me to do that won't make me miserable?
So if you haven't taken the passion profile quiz, please do that. I don't know.
Why are you here?
If anyone's listening who hasn't taken our quiz, please pause at this moment and go do that. Or if it's been a little while and you can't remember, because I've had some people say, oh yeah, I took that 2 years ago and I forget what I was. Maybe go back and retake it or reread your profile at least, because that's going to give you some clues as to how to incorporate your love of cooking into your life. So that's part one. We can't really answer that part until we know what your passion profile is. Please feel free to give us an update like some other people did this time and answer that for us. And then we'll have round 2 of feedback for you. But another point I want Tasha to clarify is, you said, I love cooking. I love being creative and inventing my own recipes. And you said, my dream is to have a restaurant of my own.
Those are 2 different things.
Being a cook or a chef and owning a restaurant are 2 different jobs.
Completely different jobs.
Totally different jobs.
Yeah.
So I think the first thing we need to clarify is, do you want to be a chef or do you want to be a restaurant owner?
Mm-hmm.
Now, there's overlap. If you want to be a restaurant owner, sometimes you can get in the kitchen and cook and invent recipes, and you could have special nights where you're the chef. Great. But you don't have to be the chef
all the time.
No. You're the restaurant owner. Somebody else is the chef. There's 2 different roles there.
Right.
One
works for someone, one doesn't.
And that might solve some of your problems right there, frankly. If you want to be the owner and hire people to work on the weekends and work in the evenings and do the long hour, and they're okay with that, then you might have a win-win here. And you can still come up with the recipes if you want to, and you can still participate in the cooking part. If you want to be a chef, then that's a different thing too. That's a different thing than owning your own business. Maybe you want to go be a chef someplace else and not have the responsibility of running the finances and paying the fee on the space, the rental fee, and managing employees. That's a whole different set of skills. So I don't know what to tell you yet, because I don't actually know which one you're more attracted to. But some of the limiting beliefs, or some of the beliefs that you have around why this won't work, only apply to one or the other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's another piece that I
yes.
I'm like, can you come back and tell us your passion profile and which of these you actually want? Which is the dream, the chef or the business owner? And then we can round 2. I hope even just hearing those questions though helps you clarify, because it sounds to me like you're conflating some of those things in your mind, like they're all the same. And when you think about them as separate experiences, that might be clarifying in and of itself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because if you're a chef, you are going to be working for someone else, and your hours are going to be more set and inflexible. Not saying that there's probably a difference between being a chef in LA versus being a chef in like a small town in Idaho or something. I don't know. But like, you kind of physically have to be there if you're going to cook stuff. You can't really like do your job on Zoom.
Right. And there are different types of chefs too. I mean, there's a chef for a big restaurant chain where you can be in a different number of places. You could be a private chef just for certain events where you could probably be a little bit more picky about your hours. You could have your own business where you're not a restaurant owner, you're a chef for hire, right?
Yeah.
You're a personal chef for hire.
Right. Yeah.
And then you get to pick your projects and you get to pick your events and say, I'm available this date and not this date. So
you work for a really rich person just cooking for them.
Yeah, that's the thing. People have in-house chefs. They just come over each day.
I recently stalked The Rock's private chef and she makes really good looking food for The Rock and his family every day.
I'm thinking of the show Billions, where they have, I think his name's Ryan, Chef Ryan, they call him. And I don't think he lives with them, but he just commutes every day. And
yeah. So like there's a million ways you could
meals for them and then goes home.
You could probably be a chef, but you are going to physically probably have to be somewhere at all times to do your job. So yeah, which one of these do you actually want?
And does that change your, essentially what this question is I want to do this and there's a bunch of shit sandwiches and I don't know if they're worth eating. But depending on how you answer some of the questions we just posed to you,
The shit sandwiches change.
The shit sandwiches change. They might get bigger or smaller or different or whatever. And that might help you make a clearer decision. Now, if we've just overwhelmed you with a whole bunch of options and you're more confused,
then pause, go back and listen to this on 0.5 speed and really just hear it slower. Process it as long as you need until it sinks again.
But I do think the clearer you get on the dream and how you want to do it, the simpler it gets to figure out how to overcome the shit sandwiches or to live with them.
Decide if you want to overcome the shit sandwiches.
Worth it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I hope that helps. All right. Last question. This is a long one. Hello, Krachel. I'm so distractible at times. I can also be very focused, which confuses others and me. It might be a bit ADHD. Here's my situation. I started writing a book. Before I finished the book, I found a great opportunity for learning a well-paid business. Before I finished learning that, I was gifted some coaching. Who'd say no to coaching? Not me. I figured I needed the coaching because I was scared to jump into that business, even though I really desired to. Now the coaching is done and I'm still me, which means I'm eating up all the personal growth and learning I can swallow. While doing all this, I have 2 side businesses that are enjoyable and earning money and paying the bills, but don't leave extra money. I'm single and have a family whose needs ebb and flow and lately have been significant, which has also caused the doubts about what I can accomplish if I jump into a different business. I was coached to finish what's on my plate, choose what's important, prioritize my time, etc. And I diligently do for a time. Then I see another amazing opportunity that I don't want to miss. Sometimes I think I'm an Enneagram 7, even though I more often line up with a 6. In your quiz, I'm a fire starter. How do I tame that incessant interest and wonder in all things? How do I tell which opportunity to embrace? That's from Loving Shiny Objects.
That's a good little name there. We get a version of this question a lot. So I'm glad that we're answering it because I know I can just imagine a lot of people shaking their heads along like, that's me too. That's me.
I know.
So I want to start by the last 2 questions you asked, because the first of the 2 questions you asked is, how do I tame that incessant interest and wonder in all things? My gut response to that is, I don't want you to tame your incessant interest and wonder in all things. I think that's a big part of who you are. I think
curiosity and wonder shouldn't be like,
how do I tame that
down?
No, your curiosity is what infuses life and vibrance into your experience.
And a little bit of chaos. Yes.
And sure, that's fine. A little bit of chaos. Now, the second question you asked is a little bit more to the point, which is, how do I tell which opportunities to embrace? Well, you actually said opportunity. I'm automatically changing that to opportunities. I don't think you're someone who should or wants to or needs to pick one thing to embrace.
Yeah.
I recognize that you say you were coached to finish what's on your plate and do what's important and prioritize your time and all of that. And to a point, that structure is helpful. To another point, you're never probably going to be someone who picks a thing, does the thing, completes the thing, moves on to the next thing.
Yeah,
and that's okay.
Let's just pause for a second and be like, and just make a point in general about her or them. I don't know. Let's call them. I'm really tired of people trying to overcome their personalities.
Mm-hmm.
And I say this as much about myself as I say it about you or anyone listening. Do you have a problem or do you have a personality?
Mm-hmm.
That's like, because I think, because we talked about this in our December side chat, how I was like, I feel like I only recently am starting to learn that I don't have to overcome my tendency toward anxiety and depression. Like, I don't get what I want once I'm finally not depressive or anxious. Like, it's kind of baked in there. And so I don't have to overcome my personality. Just like I don't have to overcome being snarky. I don't have to overcome having a dark sense of humor. Why would I overcome these things? They make me very charming, obviously. Like, because she doesn't have to overcome this.
We have this idea of what like the perfect person, the characteristics of the perfect person who gets all the things that we want in life.
I don't know that I would want to meet that person.
That person would be so obnoxious.
Psychopath. Right?
Creepy. They would be creepy.
They'd be really weird.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I get everything. I set my goals and I achieve every single one of them on the exact timeline that I expected. I'd be like, am I about to get murdered? I think I'm about to die.
Are you actually a robot AI
Right.
person?
Yeah.
Do you sleep? No, we don't. We shouldn't actually even want to be that person because nobody else would want to be around you, frankly. But there's this idea that the right kind of person, quote unquote, is someone who always is efficient with their time and completes everything that they start. And like, this is the advice about how to get ahead in life or be successful. I think
From whom? One of those psychopaths who's actually like that?
no, somebody who also feels like they should be like that and is giving advice to other
forcing
people.
themselves to be a psychopath.
And not probably even doing it very well, but is writing advice articles anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's okay to not finish everything you start. Not everything you start is worth finishing.
Not every book I pick up
Like
has been
fact
worth
that,
finishing, right?
The fact that she said, I was coached to finish everything on my plate. Well, sometimes you're just full and you don't need to finish your plate.
No.
Sometimes there's something better that comes along that you can go eat that thing. That's not a problem that you need to overcome. Now, some things are going to be worth finishing and you're going to decide, I really want to finish that book. That is really important to me. And maybe maybe my creative process isn't I start a book and then I write the book and then I finish the book and then I publish the book and then I write the next book. Sometimes it's I start the book and I'm talking from experience here. I have an idea. I start the book. I get excited about the book and then something else comes along and I have to put the book on hold and then I come back to the book later. And then you know what? Eventually a book is written.
Yeah. Is it efficient?
If it's important enough to you, you can trust that you're going to get re-excited about it. As someone who is curious and has a lot of excitement for things and has a lot of curiosity and zest for life and the things you're passionate about, if something's worth it, it's going to come back around.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's not, you didn't have to finish it in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's okay.
Now, everyone's dying to know because you just planted the seed. And so is this person who asked this question. But I do have to finish some things. So how do I tell which things are worth finishing and which things aren't, or which things I can give myself permission to let go of? So you need some filter questions. Okay. Because I understand a lot of things are going to pique your interest. A lot of things are going to excite you and delight you. And, they're going to be shiny and not all of them are going to be worth your time and your energy, or could be a distraction from the thing that you actually are working on in the moment. So just because it interests you doesn't mean that it's worth pursuing. So the way that we make this decision is by making it less about what the thing is about. Like, oh, it's shiny because it's like a book or it's a new coaching thing, or it's not about what it is. It's about how well does this thing align with my deeper desires and my deeper values
and where I'm at right now and everything else that's on my plate.
So like, I think you need a handful of filter questions tailored to what is my where is it I'm trying to go in the long run? And what are the needs I have right now? So like one of your filters, you said you have a family. I don't know exactly what you said you're single and you have a family. I don't know exactly what that means, but it sounds like you are responsible to some degree for financially contributing to other people.
Yes.
Beyond yourself. So one of your filter questions is probably, what's going to help me continue to commit to and support these other people in my life who need it without putting maybe extra strain or pressure or stress on that situation? Like which one of these things has the ability to do that? So like that probably is in the mix. And every shiny object is not going to have the ability to financially contribute in a meaningful way to your family. That's probably got to be a filter question.
Yep. Another filter question might be, is this new thing exciting and aligned enough with what I ultimately want that I'd be willing to put another thing on hold? Because I think that oftentimes the shiny object syndrome comes with eternal optimism about how much you can do at any given time. And so if a filter question was, what would I replace this? Like, what would I have to replace or let go of to bring this new thing in? That alone can help you remind you, okay, it might be exciting, but you know what? It's not worth me not working on my book right now because I'm still really excited about that. And so maybe it has to come after the book. And that's okay. Sometimes the answer to all your filter questions is not, yes, I want to do it, or no, I don't want to do it. Sometimes it's not now. I do want to do this, but you don't have to do it all simultaneously.
Okay.
And so you can have almost like and this might be really exciting to someone like you who is really interested in things and wants to have a lot of cool options. You might have a list of, ooh, I can't wait to finish this so I can do
get
this.
to this. Yeah.
Because if I have to, if I think of it a little bit as
finishing this thing.
that might honestly be helpful. Because the realistic, whether you want to believe it or not, if you bring something else on, something else is probably going to fall off. And if you just ask the question ahead of time, am I willing for that to happen? That might be clarifying.
Another filter question, I think, has to be like, what is my big picture and how well does this align with this? Because again, you're in the moment, short term, there's so many interesting things. Big picture, where are you going? Loving shiny objects. Like, what is it that you want in 1 year, in 3 years, in 5 years? Like, where is it that you ultimately want to head? Do you want to have X amount of money? Do you want to be traveling? Like, what is your vision? And it needs to be as specific and clear as possible so that you can reverse engineer and go, how well does this thing that I have the opportunity to do right now, or that's exciting me right now, how well does that actually align with where I want to be in like 3 to 5 years? And I'm not saying everything you spend time and energy on has to be about your big vision. Like, God knows, all the fiction books I read have nothing to do with where I want to be in 5 years.
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, other than probably like hooking up with someone who looks like some of the dudes in these books that I read. Do you know what I mean?
And you want to be
tangentially related.
Well, and also you want to be someone who reads and has time to read.
True.
And like, if you don't have time now, then you know what I'm saying? Like,
but what I'm saying is I spend time doing things.
That's a hobby you want to keep doing.
Right.
On your
You're
vision.
allowed to have hobbies.
Sure.
But if something is going to take up a lot of your time and energy and it's a pursuit of some kind, it's worth asking, how is this actually going to serve my long-term vision?
Mm-hmm.
That's where a lot of people get tripped up when they have shiny object syndrome.
And shiny object syndrome also tends to come with FOMO, which is, if I don't do this now, I'm not going to be able to do it. But I think this person has already proven to themselves that more cool opportunities keep coming up. I don't think you're going to hit a point in your life where you've just stalled out on cool opportunities. So if you don't take every one now, guess what? There's going to be more.
I know that they're not going to stall out because they have an incessant wonder and curiosity. So there's never going to be like a shortage of ideas.
Seeking them out. They're going to keep attracting them.
Ideas will keep. They will come back around. You're not going to miss your bus. Bus will come back in 10 minutes or, the equivalent in this analogy. It'll come back when it's ready. You don't have to be afraid to miss out.
I know we've used this analogy before, but you don't want to eat all the food that you're going to eat in your life in one day. You want to spread it out.
You can't. You physically can't.
You would explode.
And it would all rot anway. Right? Like,
you want it to be spread out. You want to have cool, exciting opportunities forever. And so if you take a few now, there'll be more later. There'll be more later. Like, let's stretch them out. Life is long, hopefully. We got a plan for that at least.
Go back to the beginning of this.
Exactly. But you're not going to run out, and there's always more. You can't do it all at once. You can do it all, but not all at once. I think that's kind of the mantra here.
Mm-hmm. So like, what aligns best with your filter questions? Come up with some of your own. Those are the ones we're giving you. Make your own if you need to. But how
do you know if this is the right thing and the right thing right now? Those are the 2 categories of filter questions I want you to consider.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Also, she said she was a fire starter. I'm like, are you not a side hustler to some degree? Because this is giving me big side hustler energy.
I agree.
Might be just fire starter with ADHD. I don't know, but
it could be. Also, the Enneagram type, I know this person said resonates with 6, but also feels like there might be some
scale.
7.
So,
but you don't just have one Enneagram type. There's a reason that there's a whole breakdown, like a profile chart. So
from top to bottom. So you might have a lot of 7.
Which is, again, just proof that this is baked into who you are.
Yeah, we don't want to change it.
We don't want you to become someone who robotically finishes things before they move on to the next thing and tamps down your curiosity and wonder for the world. I don't want that for you.
No, we don't want to change who you are.
No.
Let's not change your DNA to try to like fit in.
Accomplish more.
With who? The psychopaths who can do exactly what they set out to do without any disruption to the plan. Even the most dedicated like single-mindedly focused people I know can't do that because life will insert new dilemmas. Even if it's not them creating the problem, life will throw them something that causes their timeline to be disrupted. So
it doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist. Okay. Well, that was a lot of words that we've just offered to everyone here.
Well, thank you for the updates. I know we always ask for updates, so it's fun to get them and be able to share them. You know.
Well, fun if relative when someone's telling you about their brother passing away.
That's true. But we appreciate
that you want to share your life with us in that way.
Absolutely.
And your real shit. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Thank you for trusting us with your real shit.
And both of the people who gave updates said, I wasn't sure if I should send this, but and then I decided to go ahead and do it. And we were grateful and appreciative of both of them.
Yeah.
We're always appreciative to hear from our people. So please give us updates.
You wanting to be real with us is
don't
a compliment to me and Kristen.
Yeah. Don't feel like it has to be huge and life-changing. It can be about how you found your accountant. And don't feel like it has to be positive.
Like, hey, I hated your advice.
Sure.
Try again. All right.
Okay.
I like a challenge. That's a challenge I'd gladly take over some of the ones I've got right now. So that's fine. Okay. So we will see you next Friday with, I believe, a new normal person interview. Yes?
Yeah. I
if all goes well?
If all goes well, that's the plan.
Okay. Well, we'll see you next Friday.
Okay. Bye-bye.